Are you a serial goal setter and really want to become an avid goal getter? Then stay tuned, because I'm going to be giving you the 3-step formula to goal getting. If you are seeing me for the first time, welcome to my channel. I am Rachel Charles and I'm a freedom mindset and life coach. I work with women who have spent years directing their focus into careers and families and all the other responsibilities that life brings, and are now ready to redirect their focus and their energy into building the businesses of their dreams. I work with them to put plans and strategies in place so that they can step away from the prescribed life and into the life that they are designing. So welcome. Today we're going to talk about the 3 steps to goal getting. And if you're anything like me, you're really good at goal setting. I have notebooks upon notebooks everywhere. I can't walk past a stationery shop without getting notebooks, and that includes that's for to-do lists and tasks and all these plans. And we can get so good at goal setting that it kind of stops us from the goal getting part. And how do we bridge that gap? If we look at what goal setting is to begin with, it's really good at keeping us focused. It keeps us on track and it lets us see where we're going. It can also keep us motivated, but also that's the part where we can procrastinate. And we know that procrastination isn't always bad. It's kind of like a safety mechanism that the body puts in where it wants to keep us safe. It knows that where we are may not be quite where we want to be, but it's familiar and it feels safe for now. And to move into something else is not as safe. So we procrastinate because we're not quite sure what it's going to bring. You know, are we going to fail? Are we going to make it? What's the impact on other people? And we don't always cross over from goal setting to goal getting because it takes that action. So sometimes one of the things that stops us is, when do we start? Do we start at the end of the year? Do we start at the beginning of the year? Do we start at our birthday? The truth is, there is never a right time to start. You just need to start wherever you are. And then what goal getting does is it literally compounds those feelings that you get from goal setting. Goal getting as well, obviously you've reached the goal and you've achieved it, but it also keeps you more motivated, it keeps you more focused, and it keeps you on track for the bigger goals. It improves that muscle memory of goal getting. So the minute that you start achieving your goals, it means that you can go back into the memory bank and say, oh, I've done that. It feels good. I can do that again. So that's what goal getting does. So what I wanted to do today was talk about 3 things, 3 ways, or a 3-step formula where when you implement this, it helps you move from being this great goal setting person to a goal getting machine. So what do you need? What do you need to put in place so that you can start goal getting? Obviously, you have to start with goal setting. So what does that look like? Number 1, have the big picture. You need to be able to look at your big goal, see it, smell it, taste it, live it, know exactly what you want that big goal to look like. And I know you do, because you goal set just like me. So write down everything about that big goal that you want. And then you need to dissect it up, chop it up into smaller goals. And then that one goal moves into part 2 of the formula. Part 2 of the formula is making your goal SMART. How did you know that was going to come? Every single training program we've been on tells us about SMART goals. So let's look at these SMART goals and why we need them SMART. So for the S in SMART, we know stands for specific. So we've taken one of those goals and we've transferred it into our SMART matrix now. And we need to make that specific. So it's one of the chunks in that big goal. It needs to be a specific thing that's tangible that we know that we can have at the end. Make it a specific. It's not as much as I want a promotion. It's I want a promotion too. I want to be by blah, blah, blah. Make that goal specific. My life needs to change. You know, sometimes we've made huge, I know I've made huge changes when I've said that. my life just needs to be totally different than what it is now. That's a story for another day. But we need to make it specific so that we actually know what it is we're striving for. Making it specific means that it's clearly defined, it narrows it down. And if it's too broad, it can be overwhelming. So that's where the chunking in comes down, and that's where the focus comes in, by making it a specific goal. The M in SMART stands for measurable. How will you know that you've achieved your goal if it isn't measurable? So the same way that it has to be a specific goal that you want to be able to achieve, you have to know what it is. How are you going to know when you get there? And sometimes that's where some people have set goals, they get the thing, and then they're still like, this isn't it. Because maybe, that wasn't the actual thing that they wanted, but it was a step in there, but they weren't too sure of what it was that they wanted. But when you chunk it down, right, I've got that one. Now I can move on to the next stage. It's measurable. You're able to understand what it is when you see it, when you achieve it, so that you can celebrate your wins as you go along. The A stands for achievable. Again, there needs to be a time frame as to when you're going to achieve this particular goal. So your goal is specific, you know what it is that you have to do. It's measurable, you have a time frame, and that time frame needs to be achievable. If it's too long, it's going to be, again, overwhelming, but it can't be too short. If it's too short, it might be overwhelming because you're not going to be able to do those things in that time. And if it's too long, it's not going to push you enough. So it has to be challenging as well. So the R, I've actually put two things down for the R: relevant and realistic, because I like those two. And sometimes, some people say it needs to be relevant, some people say it needs to be realistic. And I like looking at both of them. Is it relevant for what you're doing? Sometimes we think, okay, I want to do this, but does it really match up with the overall bigger picture of what you're doing? Everything that you're doing needs to be intentional. And if the goal is relevant, then it will be in line with the bigger picture. It also has to be realistic. Is it something that is achievable in that time? Is it something that is literally linked to the bigger goal as well? Or is it going to lead to the bigger picture, and is it doable? So we need to make sure that the goal is relevant and realistic. And finally, we know that the T stands for time bound. What are the milestones? Even after chunking down your huge goal into smaller sections, you may need to chunk that smaller section down again. So is there a weekly target that you need to have? Is there a monthly one? Is there, where do you need to see yourself in 2 months to know that you're on track so that you can stay accountable? Which leads me easily into number 3. The third part of the formula is accountability. And that accountability can be done in many ways. One of the good ways is telling somebody else about it. And sometimes we can be quite reluctant to share our goals with others. And we know that sometimes people don't always get our goals, but when we share it with someone else, and it's somebody that we trust, we know that they have our back, as it were, that person can keep us accountable. That person will be the person who says, it's Friday, have you done that thing that you were going to do? That's one way that you can be kept accountable. You can also have a coach. A coach is a good way of keeping yourself accountable. Some people take it to social media, and they may even put it on their page to say, I am going to do by and your followers, your friends, your whoever it is that's on your page, trust me, they'll remember, and they'll come back and say, how did you get on with whatever it was? So make sure that you have a system, a buddy, somebody, somehow that you can stay accountable, because what happens then is procrastination can set in. Or if you don't see the thing happening at the time that you wanted it to, then you can start feeling despondent. It can make you feel like maybe, this isn't for me, I'm a failure, and it can set you back in your goals. So I'd like to hear from you. What is it that helps keep you on track for goal setting? Comment below. I'd like to hear your tips, and who knows, it might help someone else. So thanks for watching my 3-step formula to goal getting, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.